All right, well, hello and welcome to this week's AAFD Meet the Expert webcast series. My name is Maya Norwood. I'm one of the chapter coordinators here for the AAFD. So our webcast series are brought to you by our supplier network of experts and aimed at empowering businesses like yours with timely education, practical tips, and trusted guidance. So the format today is going to be 30 minutes learning and 15 minutes of open question and answer. So if you have a question and answer or a question that you'd like answered, please put it in the Q&A that is in front of you, and we will be sure to answer that after the presentation is over. I'm going to turn it over to Lori to introduce today's speaker.
Hello, my name is Lori Hickel, and I am a chapter coordinator for the AAFD. Today's webcast is mentally ready to sell, presented by Terry Kelm, president of Sunbelt Franchise Re-sales. Sunbelt Franchise Re-sales is an innovative, dedicated business broker committed to helping franchisees transition out of their current life cycle, with the goal of providing unmatched value in succession planning and facilitating successful resales. Sunbelt Franchise Re-sales offers a unique approach that helps business owners maximize the value of their organization when they are ready to exit. To this end, AFD members are provided with a complimentary value range analysis with no obligation or commitment. We encourage any member that is thinking about selling their business to take advantage of this offer. Terry, welcome, and thank you for presenting today.
All right, thank you very much, Maya. Thank you very much. I appreciate it, and thank you everybody for being on the call today. I really appreciate the opportunity to chat with you guys and to share some little bit of knowledge and wisdom that I've gained in my 20 years of working in the franchise resales game. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here, and we can bring up the presentation. So bear with me 1 second. And can everybody see that? Are we good to go? Hopefully that is a yes. We're titling this today "Mentally Ready to Sell," and we're gonna talk a little bit about selling your business, but really focus on the mental aspect of selling your business, because it's one of the most overlooked things for people who are considering exiting their franchise. And I don't care if you've been in your franchise for 1 year or 30 years. Owning a business automatically attaches that business to you. And while people will say, well, I'm going to sell my business when, I get the right price, or when I get tired out from a physical standpoint, that's all well and good. But there is a strong mental component to transitioning your business. And I want to bring that to the surface today so you can think about it as you get to that point. Again, whether you're a year from now or 20 years from now from selling your business, I think it's important to look at that aspect. And understand that aspect, that it's one of three real big components when you're ready to sell your business. So the three components to me when you're ready to sell your business is, are you physically ready? And physical is both not only your own physical nature, but also the physical shape of your business. Is your business in good physical shape? Does your store look good? Does your van look good? Are they up to date? Are they kept up well, right? Of course, there's the financial component, and that's usually the one that kind of drives the bus on the decision to sell. Is, am I going to get the right price for my business? But then there's the emotional component. And look, at the end of the day, selling your business for money's not everything. And I'm going to give you a practical example today of someone who I just talked to yesterday, who sold their business 8 months ago. So money's important, but it's not everything. So you have to look at these other factors and take these into consideration before you go and sell your business. So just to back up a step, when you're ready to put your business up for sale, or you're ready to exit your business, you have several options, right? When you're planning your exit, you may be selling to an employee or a key employee, a manager, or someone like that. You may be just winding your business down. You may be liquidating it, or just saying, hey, my lease is up at the end of next year, and I'm just planning on shutting the doors and walking away. I've made enough money and I don't need to sell the business. I have the word yuck after that because I think that anybody who does that potentially leaves money on the table. And it also hurts the franchise that you're part of because obviously they lose a flag. And it hurts me because, I'm in the business to sell businesses. So it's not the best option, but it is an option. It's a strategy that several people take. But then there's the third party sale, and that's what we do best, and that is to take your business to market. I'm sorry? Sorry about that. Okay. So the point of the slide is
just going to let you know that we weren't seeing the next slide.
You're not seeing the slides?
We do now. Thank you.
How about now? Okay. So the point of that last slide is, look, only you as the owner of your business can determine how you want to transition your business, right? And determining how and who you sell your business to, it's important. But again, you need to be emotionally ready to sell. And this is kind of going to be our jumping off point to talk about the emotional aspects of exiting your business. So some of the steps that I think should be in the process of determining whether or not you're ready to sell your business from an emotional standpoint. Number one is to review your financial situation. As we've already discussed, financial drives the bus in the decision to sell your business typically. If you feel you're going to get the right price and terms, and that right price and terms is going to be enough to carry you through the next phase of your life, no matter what that phase is, then you should be able to check that box about the financial side and be ready to continue down the path of potentially selling your business, or at least doing the inventory of, am I ready to sell your business? Number two is talk to your family. We actually had a situation one time where the day of closing, the seller of the business then told his wife, I'm going to sell the business today. And she was part of the business and she said, no, we're not. So, your family's going to be impacted by this decision, not only from a financial standpoint, but also, again, from, your availability standpoint, your physical standpoint. If your family's involved in the business, at some point in time, you have to have that discussion and talk about not only the process of selling, because it is a process, it takes a long time, but the potential outcomes as well. Number three is determine what you're going to do post-sale. The day you sit across the table from somebody and they hand you that big fat check and you turn over the keys to your business is not the day to go, okay, now that I have this, what am I going to do? It's really important that you think about what your days are going to look like after you sell your business, and hopefully have a plan to say, here's how I'm going to spend some of that, if not all of that time that I used to spend running my business. And for some of you, it might be buying another business. For some of you, it's going to be retirement. It doesn't matter what it's going to be, but you need to plan out your days and your weeks and your months after you sell your business, because it's going to be a lot of newfound time for you. And it can't be just a void of going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? All right. The fourth one is analyze your ability to surrender. You right now have control. You've got control of your employees. You got control over the decisions you make for your company. Your business is your baby, right? And so you have control of that baby. And for some people, it is very difficult to all of a sudden be in a situation where you don't have control, where you're not making key decisions every day, where you're not interacting with your employees every day, where you're not setting up guidelines, boundaries, strategy, initiatives, goals for your business. And that can be really, really a hard part of selling your business and losing that control. And I go back to I mentioned this lady earlier in my call with you guys just yesterday. She texted me. This was a lady who we ended up selling her business for her. We sold it 8 months ago. We worked with her over 2 years to sell her business. So it was a very long, drawn out process. It's not typical, but it was very long. And she sold her business really because she was being pushed to sell her business. There were outside factors that were basically saying, you need to get rid of the business. You need to get rid of her business. Her text to me yesterday was, I quote, I miss it so much, unquote. And really, to be 8 months in after the sale and to still be having that kind of reaction and that kind of feeling tells me she was not ready to sell her business when we sold it for her. This is almost like mourning a death, really, that you're still 8 months in and you're still missing that business. And it's too bad because she's finding out that you weren't emotionally ready to sell your business after you sold it it's too late, right? So, and she's having severe seller regret. And I feel really bad for her because I consider her a friend of mine. But she didn't go through the process the right way, and it's very unfortunate. So you ultimately have to answer the question, why do you want to sell your business? And again, there are physical elements to that, there are financial elements to that, and there are emotional elements to that. And I will say here now that all three of those boxes need to be checked in order to have a successful transition of your business and a successful post life of your business when you sell. So again, we've talked about the financial viability of a sale and knowing that you're going to have a solid financial outcome. That's a big mental hurdle to clear, right? I mean, that's a big box to check. But to clear that hurdle, you got to do some planning and you got to do some research, right? So one of the things that was mentioned by Lori early on when she was doing the introduction to me was that our company, Sunbelt Franchise Re-sales, we offer a free complimentary, no obligation value range analysis for every one of the AAFD members. And the reason that's important is you guys can take that number when we do the analysis and you say, okay, here's what we think your business is worth. You guys can then take that number and you can go to your tax advisor or to your financial planner and you can say, okay, if I really truly sold my business for this price, what's my tax ramifications? What are going to be my net proceeds after all fees are paid and all taxes are paid? And then you can make some decisions to say, are those net proceeds enough money for the next phase of my life? Whatever that phase is going to be. Again, another business, retirement, working part-time, whatever it's going to be, right? Is the proceeds that I'm going to receive from the sale going to be enough? And if you, in consultation with your tax advisor and your financial planner and your family, come back and say, you know what, not going to be enough, guess what? That's going to decide your sale right there. You're not ready to sell. But if it is enough, then again, it's a big hurdle to check, both from a financial standpoint, that checks that box, but also when you check the financial box, it kind of also clears one of the many mental hurdles you're going to have. You know that you're going to be okay financially. So now you have to just realize, are you going to still be emotionally prepared on some other aspects, which we're going to talk about. So again, my advice here is take us up on that offer, get that free value range analysis, and then take that and consult with professionals on the valuation. Talk to your tax advisor, talk to your financial planner, and make sure that you're in a good position to sell your business from a financial standpoint. The family life after sale, again, you typically are spending a lot of your time on a daily basis working in or on your business. And I gotta be honest. I gotta tell you a quick story. I had a lady who contacted me, and I met them face to face at a convention. And both her and her husband said, that they were ready to sell the business. The husband was already retired. He had a different career. The woman, the spouse, was the one who owned the business, and they told me she still works 60 hours a week in the business. And after she told me that she's tired of it and she thinks she's ready to sell, I got a call 2 days later from the husband, and he called me and said, just so you know, she's not ready to sell the business. She's not ready to let go of it. And quite frankly, I'm not ready to have her energy in the house for 60 hours a week. I mean, that's what he told me. And, I couldn't use that against him, but I did have some really long conversations with the seller, the lady, after that, to say, are you really ready? Are you really ready? And that was 3 years ago. And we still stay in touch. As a matter of fact, I talked to her 2 weeks ago, but she hasn't put her business up for sale yet. She just wasn't ready. And the husband recognized she wasn't ready. So again, when you sell your business, you could have some emotional voids that are going to be created, right? You're no longer going to talk to your employees, and some of you, might have employees that have only been with you for a few months, and so there's not that bond. But others of you might have employees that have been with you for 30 years or longer, right? And they are friends, and you see them outside of the business, and you walking into that business every day, they're going to be there, and it's comforting to you. So you're not going to have that when you sell the business, right? You're also not going to have a place to go every day, right? I mean, for some of you, it's a purpose in life to get up and go to work. And you're also not going to have the title of business owner anymore. And for some of you, owning your own business is a status thing. Not everybody, but for some, right? And again, all this is asking you to do is take an inventory of yourself. How do you really mentally feel about your business? What are the emotions that you have when you work in your business every single day, right? So, your business is a key focal part of your life. And when you lose one of those focal parts of your life, it can be really unsettling. You might feel directionless. You might feel confused. We're going to talk a little bit about the next phase as well. How does that make you feel? To say, here's what I'm going to do next. So again, it's important to you that you put yourself through this exercise. Have something new and positive to focus on when you do sell your business. Because if you just do it blind and say, I'm just going to sell my business and see what happens, you might end up like my lady friend out in Maryland who is 8 months later and still regretting that she doesn't have her business anymore. So again, the next phase, this is going to vary. It's going to vary by person, but it can be several things. You might, like I said, you might retire, you might buy another business, you might take a job, you might relocate. It doesn't matter what the next phase is. What matters is you have that plan and you're ready to implement the plan the day you do sell your business. And as I mentioned, on the self-analysis here is critical. Are you really sure you can do it, right? Are you really sure you're ready to walk away? And really only you and your family can answer these questions. And I go back to that husband-wife team where the husband called me. I gave him a lot of credit, right? He recognized his wife wasn't ready yet from an emotional and mental standpoint, that she still had too much energy and really loved being in that business on a daily basis. And so he wanted us to know that. And so, in further discussions with her about this mental aspect of it, she decided the same thing. She needed to keep the business longer. And like I said, it's been 3 years since that day. The employees, it's, as I said, it's not uncommon for you, especially if you have long-term employees, to form friendships. And you have to look and, how deep are those attachments and are you going to be missed? The other thing is, are you ready to be booed? And I'm going to bring up the story of a former employer of mine. My employer, before I got into Sunbelt Franchise Re-sales, owned a small medical supply company in Minnesota, where I'm located. And he had that business for over 20 years. When he decided to sell, he was in his 60s. He was ready to retire. He was financially ready because we had some really good years right before he left. He was mentally ready because he had been doing it for so long. And he was just in a good place. But what he didn't recognize was the employees that we had 35 people in our firm, but over 20 of them had been with him for longer than 20 years. And over time, whether he actually said it or not, or just implied it, these people really felt that Fred was going to be the business where they were going to be able to go to retire. They were going to stay there until retirement. And the day he announced he had sold the business to the group in a group meeting, a couple of them actually booed him. And I took it upon myself to have a conversation with one of them after the meeting was over. And I said, why did you do that? Why would you boo somebody who just fulfilled a lifelong dream after working in this business for 30 years? And he got a really good price in terms that he can retire. Why would you boo that? And the guy said, he goes, because Fred basically said that I could retire here and now I can't. And that was his assessment of the situation. Now, it turns out it was wrong because the new owner wanted to keep that employee on board and did. But my point is Fred, when I talked to him, he was hurt that the people that he felt he supplied jobs to and nurtured and was a good employer for all these years would turn on him in a moment like that. He was hurt by that, and he wasn't ready to be booed. And believe me, you might have really good relationships with your people, and when they find out you sold your business, which they usually find out late in the process, some of them will be happy for you, some won't be. People get really egotistical or egocentric. All they're going to be concerned about is, what about me? What happens to me? So they might not like the fact you're going to sell your business, and those friendships that you think you have maybe on thin ice when you go to do that. And so again, you got to be thinking about stuff like that before you pull the plug. And again, most of you, I think, would say, I'm worried about what happens to my staff. I want them well taken, well kept. And just so you know, 95 out of 100 times when we sell a business, that buyer coming in wants to keep every one of those people on board, right? When the buyer is buying a resale business, they're buying your name, they're buying your goodwill, they're buying your equipment, but they're also buying your human capital. They want your employees. But sometimes employees don't think that way. They think the worst. Oh no, they're going to let us go. They're going to start with new people, et cetera. So, I tell sellers all the time, hey, the buyer's going to want your people, but we still got to keep it confidential because employees think the worst when they hear about a sale. And again, it's ultimately maybe necessary for you to separate your business plans from your personal relationships. And if you can't do that, if those people mean that much to you, you might not be ready to sell yet. They might be just too much part of your daily routine and of your life. But if you can separate them, then it's okay. Then you've got another hurdle cleared, and you should be able to move forward. So, and just to reiterate something what I alluded to here during this part of the conversation, confidentiality in your sales process is essential. You may have an employee that you think is your best friend. Don't tell them you're selling your business. The day to tell them you're selling your business is much closer to the day you're actually selling than the day you're, say, putting the business up for sale or listing your business. You got to keep it confidential. What about age, right? I mean, when is a good time to sell from an age standpoint? The government says retirement age is somewhere between 62 and 70, right? But everybody's different. And, as the last 10, 15 years has taught us, 65 is the new 45. And I just say to people all the time, if you feel good and you feel good about it, then you should stay in your business for as long as you can. And I'm talking to more owners now who are 75 plus and about selling their business than I did 20 years ago when I first started. People are staying healthy longer, living longer, and they're staying in their businesses longer, right? But the one caveat I tell everybody who's considering it and saying, well, I still feel good, I'm going to still run it for a while is, it can change overnight. The 5 Ds are dreaded for business owners, and that's death, divorce, disability, distress, and that distress could be either the stress of the business or something personal for you, and disagreement. And if you wait to sell your business until one or more of those 5 Ds raise their ugly head, I will tell you, you're not going to be able to maximize the value of your business. You're going to be selling for less than you probably could have had one of those Ds not shown up. And it can be not only financially unrewarding, it can also be emotionally unrewarding. The process can be different and harder on you. So again, nobody knows, nobody has that crystal ball, right? When is the exact right time to sell the business? But I would tell people all the time, if your business is in tip-top shape and you can get maximum value for it, that's a good time to consider selling, provided, of course, that you're physically in good shape and mentally in good shape to sell your business. Also, satisfaction, right? Examine the business from a satisfaction point. Did you set out everything you hope to do in your business? Regret, we talked about that lady in Maryland, and she's got regret that she sold because she misses it. Some people miss their business because they feel that they didn't finish what they started and they didn't get to the point where they really wanted to get to. Okay. And again, regret can be hard. Regret can be like a death. It can linger. And, in the case of the lady in Maryland, so far, it's been 8 months and she still misses it every single day. And I don't want anybody to feel that way, right? So did you set out what you wanted to? Are you satisfied by the effort you put in? Are you satisfied by the results? Just again, boxes to check to make sure that you are mentally ready to sell. So you should also analyze, why do you want to sell, right? And one of the biggest analysis that I like to put sellers through when we're talking about the mental aspect is the push-pull analysis, right? You should consider selling your business only when you have the right pullers or positive reasons. And examples of pullers are: the market was terrific. You found the right buyer, a good buyer. You have your financial security, right? You check that financial box. You're satisfied with the results. You're ready to make that move from a physical standpoint, from a mental standpoint, from a financial standpoint. Those are pulling you to sell your business, and that is the right time to sell. But selling when you are being pushed can be emotionally traumatic. So what are examples of pushers, right? Pushers are: we went through COVID and it was draining on me. We were the staff, the labor market's changed and staff's not showing up, or I can't hire good people right now. Deliveries are always late. The supply chain is terrible, right? All of those factors take a mental toll on you. They may be taking a physical toll on you. They may be taking a financial toll on your business, right? But if you sell because of those reasons, one, you're probably not going to get the maximum price that you could for your business otherwise. And two, you may have emotional regret when you do that sale. And this is what happened to that lady in Maryland. She sold because of staffing issues. She sold because things became a kind of a rat race. Supplies were late, things like that. And she forgot to look at the good things about running and being a business owner, right? And I will tell you, she had told me a couple months back that she took a job. She wasn't ready to take a job. She's ready to be the boss. She'd been doing that for 20 some years, and she's having a hard time assimilating back into the fact that she's no longer the owner of a business. So again, it's you have to kind of do a really internal self-inspection of yourself and the reasons why you're selling the business. And if those boxes look good, that they're being checked you're selling it for the right reasons, you're physically ready, you're mentally ready, you've talked to your family, you've got a plan for the next phase of your life. The value of the business is good to you. The money's going to be okay. You've met with your advisor, your tax planner, all of those things. If those boxes are all checked off that checklist, I would say then you're in the perfect situation and ready to go. And again, you can start preparing some of those things today, even if you know that you're not going to sell for a while, right? You can start having the discussions with your family. You can start, making sure that you feel good about leaving the decisions behind and things like that. Making sure your business is in tip-top financial shape so you can maximize value. You can start that plan now, even if the sale date is somewhat down the road. All right, so I'm going to end up here before we head over to the question and answer section. Just a 1-minute commercial on Sunbelt. Lori did a good job explaining a little bit what we're about, but just to give you guys a thumbnail, we are a business broker. We help people buy and sell existing businesses. Sunbelt is a franchise ourselves, so we've kind of become the 800-pound gorilla in helping franchise business owners sell their businesses. We've been in business since 1978, so we're coming up on our 45th year of business. We have a very large footprint. We have 150 offices in North America. So typically, when if you want to talk to us, you're going to be able to talk to somebody local in your market. Our website is one of the most visited business for sale websites in all of cyberspace. That's sunbeltnetwork.com. And a company called Fit Small Business voted us best business broker back a couple years ago. My company, Sunbelt Franchise Re-sales, is here to help you guys with any phase of selling your business. I am a resource to you. I'm not a business broker, but I'm here to kind of be the liaison between the AAFD and their members and the Sunbelt business broker offices. So you can talk to me about questions about strategy, issues, anything you want to talk about related to selling your business. We have multiple services that we offer to you. Traditional brokerage is our bread and butter. That's where we list your business and basically do everything involved in selling your business and all the interactions with the buyers, offers, counter offers, et cetera, getting you to the closing table. But we also have other services. If you have a buyer and you just need somebody to help you, dot the I's and cross the T's, we have consulting services, we have valuation services. We're here to help. Every one of you that is on this call is a franchise business owner or will be. I will tell you that that's a finite life cycle. Some of you will be in business for 1 or 2 more years. Some of you will be in business for 40 more years. But at some point in time, you're going to exit your franchise business, and that's where we come in. We're there to help you get to achieve top dollar for your business and to make sure that you plan your succession accordingly. So my contact information is there. Obviously, all that contact information is also available on the AAFD website. I'm going to go ahead and move us over to the Q&A portion now. I know that we had a few questions that came in even before the webinar started today. So we're going to have, I think Lori's going to read some of those, and I'll be glad to answer that.
Yeah, I'll take care.
Anything else that you wanted to talk about, you can go ahead and put a question in through the Q&A and go that way. So Lori, I think I'll turn it back over to you.
I think I have it, Terry, if you can hear me. Okay, perfect. So before I ask the question, I just want to highlight some of the things that you said, because having sold my own franchise 2 years ago, you were spot on with some of the issues and concerns and responses. So I'll say that it took me almost a year to mentally recover from selling my franchise because I was so involved with it for so many years. It's a loss, and it's interesting how it affects you as the business owner. And that's something that I think you highlighted here as well. You've got to be aware that you will have a response to selling your business. And that's normal. It's like selling your childhood home or the home you raised your kids in. Same concept. You have an attachment to your business. So just keep that in mind. And again, Terry highlighted that. And then even the employee reaction to the sale. I had one employee who, I'll say honestly, I don't think even after 2 years he's recovered from me selling the business, because he was at a loss of what to do next. And that's a real thing. So as much as you can, again, to Terry's point, based on the NDA that you sign, be honest and communicative with your employees also, because they've invested their life to support your business, and they have that emotional attachment a lot of times as well. Yeah. So just wanted to highlight that from my own experiences.
Thank you.
One question that came up: how do you go about determining multiple business for sale, the multiplier for business sale?
Yeah, great question. Every franchise brand, every franchise industry has different multipliers, different rules as far as how you figure out the valuation. So, because we've been in business for 45 years, we put together basically our own database of what we've seen on sales of different businesses and different industries and different franchises. So we draw to that. We also are with, we have relationships with aggregators of other business brokers across the country. There are sites that record every transaction that happens from other business brokers. So we have relationships with 2 or 3 of those. So, at the end of the day, what we try to do for each one of our seller customers is, of course, maximize the value of the business, right? We want to be on the top, the top end of the price structure, but that price structure has to have a reasonableness to it, right? Buyers aren't going to overpay. Banks aren't going to overlend. So we like to say we want to put the price of the business at the top end of reasonable, on the high end of reasonable, but that reasonableness needs to be there. So for any industry, any franchise brand out there, you can give me a call. We can have a discussion about your specific brand and franchise, and I can give you a little bit more about what we've been seeing for multiples in your industry or your franchise business.
Perfect. And again, I'll go back to my analogy of selling your house. Right. The prices determine what the market is willing to bear. And there is some negotiation in there, right? You shouldn't undersell it because it's your investment. And if you price it too high, you're not going to sell it. So having someone like Terry and his company help you value the company you're trying to sell is a critical part of even considering selling the business, because it might not be enough for what you're trying to do. Again, bring in your financial advisor, your CPA, all those components. Terry can connect you with some great people if you don't have those. But again, it's an important part to understand the value of what you're trying to sell.
Well stated. Well stated.
I think I've been through it a couple times. So again, Terry, you've been spot on with this. And I'll say that from just your presentation, because having experienced it as you're going through it, I'm like, yeah, I experienced that. Yep, experienced that. So I'll give you that as a kudos to your presentation today. What is the best way to sell? Do you need a broker?
No, I won't say you need a broker, and that may sound weird since I work for business brokers, but look, at the end of the day, there are some people out there that are well qualified to sell their own business, and there are also people out there that have already identified a buyer and can just get a deal done with that specific buyer. However, the majority of the people that own businesses have never sold a business before, and a lot of times owners of businesses equate it to real estate. And I will just tell you, selling a piece of real estate, whether it be a house or a piece of land, is so much more easy than selling a business. And just to give you that, to give you one element of why I say that, the average real estate transaction right now in this country is probably taking less than 30 days. The average franchise resale in our company last year took 8 months. It is a much more involved process. It's a much more detailed process. And there's really lots of ways that you can trip up your own deal, if you will, if you have never been down that road before. And so, what I would say to anybody who's considering selling their own business is just give me a call and we can have a conversation. I'm not going to try to sell you on using a broker, but what I will tell you is I will tell you a few things that you should be looking at in your own process of how to sell your business, right? One of the last things I'll say about the subject is, I get a lot of people who call me and go, well, somebody approached me and they're my buyer, so I'm going to sell to them. And my typical response to that is, I hope you do. But usually, if you have only one buyer, you have no buyers. Because if you have one buyer, that buyer is going to control the process, right? They're going to offer the world. They're going to, ask for the world in terms of terms. They're typically going to lowball the offer, and they're going to set the timeline for how a deal gets done. And with us in control, we tell the buyers, here's the price, here's the terms, and here is the timeline. And oh, by the way, Mr. and Mrs. Buyer, if you don't like that, guess what? We have other buyers that are in the queue. So that's how we are able to get a little bit, usually typical, a little bit higher price, a little better terms, and we were able to get deals done a little bit quicker than if you were trying to sell on your own or with a smaller business broker.
Yep, and the business coach in me says if you're intentionally planning to sell your business, you should be planning 3 to 5 years out when you might want to do that, in terms of setting your plan so you could build your business so you get the most out of it. Sometimes things happen where it has to be sold overnight. Those aren't the best positions to be in, but if you prepare ahead of time, even if you have to sell overnight, you at least have the basis of a plan, and working with experts definitely has value for that, and you will generally get more out of your sale. So couldn't agree more with you on that. Let's see here. We have, can you put the contact slide back on, please?
I can.
Claudia submitted the information on that, so you don't have to do that, Terry. Just going through these.
Okay, gotcha.
And then all attendees will get the recording of this as well, so they'll be able to view anything they need to view, or if something they want to review. TC put in the question box. I'm not sure the question itself. It just says typical costs, valuations, broker commission or brokerage percentages. So I think they might be looking at what are the typical costs associated with working with a broker.
Okay. Yeah, great question. So again, one of the things I'll say up front is, Sunbelt being a franchise ourselves, each one of our offices sets their own fees across the North America. But there are some, kind of common averages here. In the US, 80% of our offices charge 10% of the sales price of the business. And that 10% is all you pay to us. There's no upfront money. There's no retainer fees. There's no marketing fees, anything like that. All of the Canadian offices if there's anybody from Canada on this call, all the Canadian offices charge 12%, and there are upfront fees. The other 20% of the U.S. offices are a combination. They're between 10 and 12%, and they have upfront fees. So the majority of the offices in the U.S., it's 10% to sell your business. If you were looking just to get let's say you found a buyer and you just need to put a rock solid price on the business, you can always go get a certified business appraisal. Sunbelt does not provide them, but we have a third party that does that. Those will run usually $3,500 and up. But we also have our own product that we call our broker estimate of price. This is a 4 to 5 page report of your business where we actually do pinpoint a price. And that's $995. So it's really reasonable, $995 for a BEP. So, and then consulting, if you got a buyer that has approached you, but you really want someone just to help you get over get over the line here, dot the I's, cross the T's type of things. Our consulting services start at $2,000 for 3 months of unlimited consulting. You would have unlimited access to my team here in St. Paul. And we help you with every stretch of the the process from a consulting standpoint. We don't talk to your buyer. We can't do that. But we're going to tell you our strategy, our advice, how we go about it. We can also supply you forms for purchase agreements, leases, things like that. So we have, we're really well equipped to help you get a deal done on your own. But with with us whispering in your ear and giving you a little bit of really valuable information along the way. So lots of different ways we can help you if you're in the market to sell your business.
Okay. And then I think the last question we have time for today, what multiples of EBITDA home care companies are selling for in the current market? It might be a little too specific for you to answer here, and how are the deals being financed with SBA funding and other conventional bank loan terms, including seller financing? That's a big one.
Yeah. So the home care market's an interesting one, and because the multiples of those businesses typically sell on the high side of all other franchises. They've been fantastic the last 10, 15 years. Even though home care businesses typically don't have a ton of assets, physical assets, they command really high multiples. Most franchise businesses sell in that 2 to 3 times range of adjusted owner benefit, what we call seller's discretionary earnings. Home health care typically start in the high 2s or low 3s and go up from there, especially as the business get bigger. So if you own a home care business, you're in a really good business from a resale standpoint. The second half of that question was, I'm sorry, what was that, Richard, you asked about?
Sorry, that was about SBA loan, seller financing.
Oh, thank you. Financing, yes, financing. Look, the SBA is still very active in lending money. Banks are still very active in lending money. The biggest issue, of course, in the last 14 months hasn't been the banks wanting to lend. It's been buyers reluctantly wanting to take loans up because the rates have went so far up. In March of 2022, we were doing loans at about 4%, and right now we're doing SBA loans at closer to 9%. So the cost of money has increased for buyers, and I will tell you that slowed a few buyers down. That's real money that they want to pay. But what we've been trying to do is making sure buyers understand that it's an education, because if you look back at the last 60 years or 70 years in this country, our average interest rate's been about 8%. We enjoyed a 6 or 7 year run here in the last few years of just unprecedented low interest rates. Money was really cheap, and buyers came to expect that. And now that's not there anymore. Okay. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, buyers still want to buy businesses, and banks still want to lend money. So we're still getting deals done, and we're still getting the majority of our deals done through bank financing and through SBA financing. But now with the interest rates as high as they are, it's an even better time to talk to sellers about seller financing, okay? Because with interest rates being up, seller financing has a lot of advantages. Obviously, there's risk involved, but there's a lot of advantages. And now with interest rates climbing up, I talked to a seller yesterday, and I just said to them flat out, I said, look, even if you put a 7% interest rate on it and do seller financing, where would you go with the money you get from your business and get a 7% rate? You're not going to get it from the stock market right now. That's been, up and down and flat for the last couple of years. And there's no other investments out there that are going to give you a 7% return. So, so it's something that if you're going to be selling in the near future, give me a call. We can talk through the whole seller financing thing. I'll address the risk with you. There is a risk there, obviously, but we can mitigate that risk somewhat. But seller financing is really something that every seller should at least be considering. And if they have the stomach for the risk, they can really, really make a lot more money in the sale of their business, especially with higher interest rates.
Yep, I couldn't agree more. That's how I bought my first franchise. I took the loan through the business owner and did a seller-based financing, and it worked out really well for both of us. So with that said, I think that concludes our session here, and I just want to share the screen as I thank Terry for what he's shared with us today. And I do want to also highlight our upcoming webcast on June 7th, which will be What Are Your Business Priorities, led by Bank of America Franchise Solutions. Again, we have a lot of partners. Terry is one of our excellent partners, suppliers in our system in support of franchisees. So definitely reach out to Terry if you even just want to learn more, but definitely also register for our future workshop or webcasts as well, because we want to continue to provide the value add for our franchisees, for our members, and make sure that we as business owners continue to have access to these amazing options that would not otherwise be readily available to us. So keep that in mind. And again, Terry, I do want to thank you for the content that, again, from my experience, was spot on. And I want to wish everyone an amazing Wednesday and balance of your week, and have a great Memorial Day weekend as well.
Thank you so much, Richard. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.